Hello guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. Jay Helmsing here. Today we're going to be talking red dot sights. So I'm going to give you guys a few short, quick tips on how to use your red dot gun more effectively, okay? So I will tell you guys before we start this, I do not carry a red dot gun daily. I have been shooting red dots for about 2 years now, and it's one of those things that it took me a little while, a little bit of growing pains to kind of really get into. I love shooting them for target shooting. Not a super huge fan at this point for everyday carry, but that's, you know, a different discussion for a different video. So what I want to give you guys today are a few tips if you were interested in red dot sight guns, or if you're frustrated with your red dot sight gun. I will kind of tell you how I overcame some of the growing pains and the issues transitioning from iron sights to red dots with my guns here. So as you guys know, red dots are getting put on absolutely everything now. It's kind of the new rage. So they're coming out with a lot of different new sights. They're coming out with a lot of guns that are set up for these different things. People are requesting mounts and whatnot for basically everything out there. I've even seen some people, you know, just completely booger up a classic gun like a Sig Sauer M11A1 by sticking a red dot sight on there. I mean, come on guys. So we'll talk about this today. We'll kind of go through some presentation styles and techniques, and we'll address probably the most common issue that people have with red dot guns, and that is finding the dot on presentation. So here we go. I got some guns to show you. I'm going to show you guys a Glock Gen 5 MOS. We have an M11A1 with a Romeo 1 on it. Odd. And we've got just a standard old P320 here, so I can show you guys some iron sights and kind of reference that as well. So what I want to show you guys first is presentation with these guns. And I'm not going to do any draws or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of talk you through it. But biggest problem that I hear about people, you know, if you talk to them about red dot sights, or I don't like red dot sights because I tried it a few times and I can't ever find the dot. So I will tell you guys, first and foremost, stick with it. Okay, it's just like anything else. Muscle memory will come to you. It's like riding a bike. You've got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to fail a few times for your brain to figure out where this thing needs to be in order to find the dot. It will come to you, okay? And I'll give you some more tips for finding that dot here in just a few moments. But definitely stick with it. For me, it took at least 2 weeks, I believe, of presentation over and over again for me to completely find that dot reliably every time. And it's a perishable skill. So if I go away from my dot guns for a while and I go back to iron sights and I really work on shooting those and getting them out quickly for presentation, I then have to relearn my dot sights again. So it's not something, at least for me, it's one of the reasons I don't carry them a lot, is because my duty guns and so forth are iron sighted guns. So it's just easier for me to get used to that iron sight presentation and not have to kind of flip back and forth with a red dot sight gun. Now that said, red dot sight guns are insanely accurate. So they do have some advantages, but you know, that's just kind of why I don't really carry them so much. Now, let's get down with it. So I'm going to show you guys this Gen 5 Glock. This is a 17 MOS, and it's got a Leupold Delta Point Pro mounted on it now. Basically what I will show you guys is that you have to hold these guns slightly different. So your index, at least in presentation, is going to be different than just a standard iron-sighted gun. So with an iron-sighted gun, what you're doing, you know, your body is used to kind of bringing that slide nice and high, and as I look through there, I'm finding that dot, and I'm training basically, at least the way I do it, is I find the front dot, and then I train that back notch to kind of line up to that as I'm pressing out, and then once I see everything's lined up close enough, I take that shot. Now, over time, your body develops ways to kind of cheat this a little bit. So what you can do is, you know, over time, you can learn how to call your shots a little bit. You know, if you got a really kind of janky presentation with your post pointed all the way over to the right, your body kind of knows that, hey, if I move this whole muzzle over, instead of worrying about these fine, you know, motor movements here, if I move the whole muzzle over a little bit, I'm still going to be on target even with that sloppy sight picture. So you kind of learn ways, you know, tricks and tips to get around these, you know, dual plane sights, these iron sights. None of those really work for iron sight or for red dot sights. So you can kind of throw all that out the window, but you know, of course, it's going to be hard to train out of to a small degree. So first off, the slide on these iron sighted guns is going to come really high, so you can find that dot, and you're basically looking right down that focal plane at your target. Not so much with a red dot gun. So you're going to hold a red dot gun about an inch lower, basically because you want your sight window to be, you know, where the top of the slide would be on most guns. So you're kind of just looking through that window as you present out, and like I say, it's going to have a lower hold than your iron-sighted guns are. So that's the first thing. Just kind of remember that. You're going to hold these a little bit lower than you would present, you know, an iron-sighted gun. Second thing is, with these guns, in order to find the dot quickly, your body gets used to finding where that plane is, that level plane where these sights kind of line up with iron sights. So you're used to finding that plane over and over again. You're actually going to be holding these guns, these red dot guns, a little bit differently. So you're going to be pushing your hand, basically canting the muzzle up a little bit. And by doing that, what I do is I just basically rotate the butt in my hand, you know, rotate my palm forward just a little bit, just maybe a degree or a half a degree. And what that does is it throws the alignment off, you know, for a traditional sight picture just a little bit. So in other words, the front dot or the front sight would be a little bit high in my sight picture. And what that does is it brings that red dot nice and high in this center of this actual viewfinder here. So if I nose up just a little bit, I don't have a problem finding that dot, and I don't have a problem training that dot on my target. So that's kind of my next trick, is remember to cant this forward just a little bit. A little bit of muzzle rise is going to help you find that dot and not fish for it. What we have a tendency to do is to bury that dot, because we're trying to keep it nice and level, and our co-witness is usually on the lower end of this, so we have a tendency to bury that dot, and when we lose it, then we're kind of fishing like, oh no, where did it go, right? And that's what slows people down. So again, hold it lower, can it out just a little bit nose high, so you can find that dot a little bit easier. The last thing I will tell you guys is how to sight one of these. So I'm used to target focus with an iron sighted gun, and then as my finger transitions to this trigger, what I'm doing is I'm working away from that target focus, and then I'm focusing intently on this front sight. So that's kind of my cue there, is when I feel that with this finger, when I feel that trigger, my eye starts transitioning to this front sight here. Now with a red dot gun, what you're going to do is maintain that target focus the whole time. You should never be looking really at the dot on this. So what you're going to do is keep your eyes focused on that target and then superimpose the dot over the top of it, which again takes some time, takes some practice to kind of train out us maybe some different habits. I won't say bad habits, but different habits you might have with an iron sighted gun. So those are some tips to get you guys started. We'll kind of continue on with this and go from there. I would like to thank you guys for tuning in. As always, continue to research, continue to take other people's advice, continue to find out what works for you, and continue to practice your craft. If you haven't done so, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment below. Until next time, Jay Helmsing.